Hey you guys, it's Marianne. I want to discuss the unique selling points of Full Moon CBD cigarettes. This product is going to allow you to have so many fun conversations, and I want to make sure that you have some really integral and strong knowledge locked and loaded in your brain so that you can basically attract the best kind of energy and share the best kind of energy alongside our packs. So first of all, let's talk about CBD. CBD is a naturally occurring compound found in all cannabis botanica. Typical plants contain over 80 to hundreds of different kinds of compounds, with the most well-known being cannabinoids and terpenes. Those terms are going to be thrown at you left and right. But let's just take a second to acknowledge how fucking interesting cannabis plants are. Cannabis plants do not have a face, but they are revered icons. They're fucking famous, all right? And they're plants. So let's just take a moment to acknowledge how fucking insane that is. There are wars on these plants. There are laws and tax infrastructures being created to hold the economy of these plants. These plants symbolize and are beacons for mindsets and lifestyles that actually divide human beings. These plants create debates within our societal confines. Cannabis is a fucking fabulous icon. And people are gonna ask you, is it hemp derived or is it cannabis derived CBD? It's not the most intellectual question someone could ask you if they actually know what the fuck they're talking about. The best part about a question that might not symbolize a high level of intellect for the context of what you're talking about is that it's an opportunity for you to assert authority and gain power and control over the conversation. It's a rock star moment. And I like to teach it like this. Cannabis botanica is a family, right? And there's a mom and a dad, and they mate and they have sex and they make babies. Ooh, I'm about to go off on a tangent. Fun fact, cannabis is one of the beautiful industries that kills the males at the base of the supply chain. Marianne, what did you just say? What does that mean? At the base, the foundation of our supply chain are our farmers who are growing our plants, regenerating our soil, maintaining care of the planet, dealing with the seeds, the cloning, the genetics. And when you are growing cannabis, you want to eliminate, murder, kill the male plants in the crops so that the females can produce larger and more abundant buds, because unfertilized females get to produce larger, more abundant bud. Like, why is this such a male-dominated industry when that, at the base of the foundation of the entire industry, that's the ethos that drives the product's quality? It's just like, it's a gasp moment, you know? It's like, okay, so we kill the males in order for the females to thrive so that we can all smoke their buds and inherit the medicinal qualities that these plants offer to us. You should have fun with that conversation out in the world. So Full Moons are hemp-derived CBD cigarettes. And hemp is one of the children in the cannabis botanica family, right? It is a part of the mom and the dad mate, and then they create another strain of a plant, and that family is called cannabis sativa. And cannabis sativa produces more kids, and they produce hemp. And hemp is a kid that doesn't really produce a lot of THC. THC and CBD are compounds present in all plants of the cannabis botanica family, right? But hemp produces lower levels of THC, sometimes undetectable levels, untraceable, and naturally produces higher naturally occurring amounts of CBD. And basically what this means is hemp is one of the chillest children to have been born in the cannabis botanica family. Hemp just really it's not super mind altering, but it can alter your health and the health of the regeneration of the soil and the world. And that is why we want to scale this product. That is why we want to see it grow in a mass way and also gain some control in that production and life cycle so that we can maintain integrity and respect over this ancient, famous icon. Second, people are gonna ask, is your flower full spectrum or broad spectrum? We sell full spectrum flower. What is the difference between full spectrum and broad spectrum? Full spectrum basically means that it's completely naturally occurring. The THC has not been removed. There are trace amounts of it found within the naturally occurring state of the flower. Broad spectrum CBD or hemp-derived flower or flower has the THC extracted from it. So it's less natural. It's less naturally occurring because we've altered it. We've removed the THC to meet these legislative bounds. We sell full spectrum CBD hemp-derived flower, but we do not have any detectable levels of THC found in our cigarettes, which is a very unique selling point. People are gonna ask, what do you mean? How does that work? And you're going to say, well, when our founder buys a crop and we test the crop, there are different levels of THC found when we test a crop. But when we test the 0.8 grams of flower that we put inside of each cigarette, there's no levels of THC detectable within that serving, within that dosing. Basically, this just means this is a super safe product. It's safe to sell and it's safe to consume because you're not dealing with the legal repercussions of having a higher amount of THC found in the product. And you're also selling a product that's still in its naturally occurring state and it's not mind altering. So everyone is super happy with this bud that we're buying. We're really intentional with how we make our purchases on crop. Thirdly, this company is owned by a woman. And I've been developing the supply chain for 6 years. Unique selling point, our founder used to roll every cigarette by hand, transport every pound by herself on trains, has worked with many small farmers, started off with a dairy farmer in Oregon, primarily bought bud off of small family-owned farms in Oregon for the first 5 years of business, and transcendentally met people within Philip Morris and the big tobacco industry who are converting to hemp, which is a huge infiltration. It is a huge win for literally everyone on the planet. And you can double back to the fact that we've been alive as a small female-owned business in the CBD space, the CBD combustible space, for 6 years, which is not easy because people in our industry die left and right due to really difficult economic regulations and tax infrastructures. Fourth, tell them to smoke it. Our taste in our blend of our cigarettes is something I am very proud of. I hated the taste and the standard that was being set in the industry. I met with many manufacturers, people who were doing Snoop Dogg's products, people who were coming out of Mexico, bringing the machines up from Mexico and starting to transition from cannabis into hemp. And I thought the blends tasted like garbage. That's why I kept rolling them by hand and living a lifestyle that I didn't necessarily like, which was sitting in a dungeon rolling cigarettes, like over 100,000 cigarettes by hand. And I did this because the taste of the industry sucks. Something that I noticed or that I found out through investigation was that a lot of people transitioning into industrial cigarettes were using the big iconic fan leaves from cannabis plants, like the beautiful image of a marijuana plant, a cannabis plant's leaf. They were curing those and drying them out and adding them to the blends with the bud, because the bud in a cigarette machine, these industrial cigarette machines are made for tobacco, right? So completely different process, completely different curing life. And when you're putting hemp and cannabis through these machines, that bud is getting sticky and it's gumming up the entire machine and making it a nightmare to produce. So what a lot of people, especially from cannabis, have been doing in order to fix this problem is they dry out those big fan leaves and they just homogenize them into the blend, and it tastes like shit. So when I met Big Tobacco, I was like, no thank you, I bet your shit tastes like shit. And the founder of the company that specifically grows for us was like, well, we shouldn't even be on the phone until you smoke my shit. So they sent me a bunch of packs, and I chain smoked them in like 3 days. And I called the founder and I was like, your shit's better than my shit. And of course it is, because these guys are legends. They took tobacco and, you know, made some horrendous mistakes, right? But it was also, there are parts of this industry, of the tobacco industry, that are so beautiful. Tobacco is such a beautiful plant, and obviously it was mishandled and scaled in a very irresponsible way. But the farmers in tobacco are legendary. They were learning to grow tobacco in Peru in the 70s and the 80s. Like, they saw the world change and they changed with it, and they changed the world with a plant. So of course, who would make a better cigarette than tobacco? And I realized that and humbled myself to them, and have now witnessed their practices and how in love with this new plant, hemp is new for them. They're so in love with it. I want that to be conveyed to our vendors, because tobacco is going to convert to hemp and cannabis whether we like it or not. And we might as well convert with them and silently control them, so that the atrocity and the tragedy of what tobacco has done to its consumers does not happen again with cannabis, because cannabis is so psychedelic. It literally changes people's minds, and changing people's minds is how you change the world. So it's so important to be a part of this industry and get in where you can and be a strong, diligent, hardworking woman who knows ethically what is correct and what is incorrect. Last unique selling point, the price. Our prices are so fucking competitive. This should be a lot of fun. This should be a heyday for us. That's really all you have to fucking say to people. Look at the price. Do you know how hard our founder worked in order to secure the integrity of this and the quality of this product without sacrificing the ability to make it accessible to everyone? That is my rant on unique selling points of Full Moon CBD cigarettes. I will keep expanding upon the knowledge in future videos, but I will also create a script so that you have a tangible piece of writing material, so that you don't have to feel like you have to remember all this information right away. It's gonna take some time.